When I say that Hamas may already have won this war, what does it mean? Today is the 29th of October, and this offensive began on the 7th of October. So it's 22 days into the fight. And let's see what Hamas has achieved and what they set out to achieve, because that is how winning and losing is decided from the objective. What were Hamas's objectives, and why was the offensive launched now at this point in time? 7 countries, including Saudi Arabia, were moving towards a détente with Israel, followed by formal recognition that was going to be extended. So the first objective that Hamas had, and with that I include the Axis powers, Hamas's backers. There's a state, there are other non-state actors. So obviously the one major objective was to throw a spanner in that détente, that rapprochement from happening, and that has been successfully done. So it's at least been, they've kicked the can 2 years down the road. If that détente had happened, if that rapprochement had gone ahead, then I think Hamas believed that it would have put the Palestinian question on the back burner, and the world would have set that aside and moved on to other things. And this is a cause that's been burning since 1948, and so that was perhaps the first objective. The second objective was to get the Arab street in favor of Palestine, to put the question central, and that to a large extent we see that happening on the TV screen. All the footages and images, and just yesterday the demonstrations, not just in Arab capitals, but in London, in Jakarta, in even on the Capitol Hill. I was looking at even Jews demonstrating against Israel. So very clearly, the first objective, throwing a spanner in the détente, that is not going to happen now. The second objective, public opinion, getting all the sympathy in favor of and all the focus. All of a sudden you notice Ukraine is no longer in the headlines. It's in nobody's mind. It's now Gaza. It's now Palestine. Everybody's curious. People are reading up, watching YouTube videos about the history of Palestine, and and getting and learning more and more about this whole thing for themselves firsthand. Huge increase in awareness, and all of this goes to the credit of Hamas, that the public opinion in its favor. The third thing, Hamas has shown militarily that it has shown its capability of being able to penetrate deep into Israel, whether on the ground or from the sky. So in that way, it has broken the myth, or the invincibility of the myth about the invincibility of Israel. So they put a security fence around the country, and they put an iron dome on top, and both of those were shown to be penetrable by Hamas, and which they were able to achieve on October 7th, and even till today there are rockets which are landing, going right through the Iron Dome and landing in Israel. So, on all these factors, I say that Hamas has already won the war. Now, what are the Americans and what are the Israelis doing at this point in time? They are mulling action. They are fuming. They're making a lot of noise, and they want to maybe enter Gaza. And that I have already said in a tweet about 2 weeks ago that that is going to be a trap. One only has to, and I think the American generals actually know that. They know that from their experience in Fallujah in Iraq. Just ask them what is urban guerrilla warfare like from their experience in Mosul in Iraq. Ask the American generals. The Israelis should really need to check and compare some notes with them. It's very easy to go in. Like it was very easy for the Americans to go into Afghanistan. When the bombing starts and the first footages appear, then it looks very flashy, very easy to do. But how does it end? It ends with the C-17s taking off and people running after the planes, or it ends with the helicopters taking off from the rooftop of the American embassy and people hanging from the, so that's how things end. So if Israel wants to enter Gaza, well, go ahead, but you're stepping into a trap. And Israeli army, mind you, has never had ground experience of the type they are going to have when they go into Gaza. They've had very, even for that matter, the U.S. Army. All these examples I was giving you about Mosul and Fallujah, they were facing light arms. They were facing AK-47s and mortars and rocket launchers, max. So it was a very low intensity conflict. Now, when they are going to step into Gaza, what Hamas is equipped with, what Hezbollah is going to, when it attacks from the north, what Hezbollah is equipped with, it's a whole different ball game, because we are talking anti-armor missiles. We are talking anti-aircraft missiles, and lately, the Americans have moved their two aircraft carriers into the Eastern Mediterranean, close to the border with Israel and Lebanon. And they know it. The U.S. Navy knows that Hezbollah has anti-ship missiles. So those aircraft carriers have to remain a certain safe distance outside, away from Hezbollah's anti-ship missiles. So this is what I'm basically trying to say is that this is going to be IDF's first experience of a major ground combat operation, and they are going to find out a lot of things for themselves. But having said that, the other thing that Hamas or Palestine has now received yesterday was the overwhelming United Nations resolution that was passed favoring a ceasefire, calling for a ceasefire. And guess who's violating the ceasefire? Yeah. So Hamas has got, why I say they won the war. They've got recognition and détente, recognition of Israel and détente not happening. Invincibility of Israel, myth, okay, that's been shown to be a myth. Capability of Hamas, okay, there's also the whole world saw what they're able to do, go in, take 200 people, hostages, prisoners, whatever you call them, bring them back, and then holding them. Number 4, the Arab street and the world public opinion. It's now, guess who it is favoring? I don't need to tell you, you just need to watch the TV, right? And the Arab street is now firmly behind. The Arab rulers in many states are actually scared of their own people. And the sentiment right now, they know very well what that sentiment is and who is it with. So, on a lot of these factors, on most of these, you can check that Hamas has already won the war. What US and Israel are now going to do remains to be seen. Right now, they are fuming, they are mulling, but there's not a great deal many options, because like I highlighted, it's going into Gaza is easier said than done. Urban guerrilla warfare, right? And don't forget that Iran has reminded continuously that they have other proxies in the region. Like there's a Hezbollah in the north, there's Iraqi militias in the east, and they have also demonstrated lately. They've demonstrated capability to attack American boots on the ground, which are in Syria and Iraq. These are US bases in both countries, originally there to fight ISIS, but they've come under attack, and there have been casualties, injuries. So that's just a little reminder given to them that, look, there are other forces in this region, you're not the only ones. So their sphere of action is limited. There's Hezbollah sitting with anti-ship missiles on one side. There's American aircraft carriers outside into the Mediterranean. There's Iraqi militias on the east. There's and then very close to the Golan Heights, there's Hezbollah in the north of Israel, and there's Hamas sitting in the Gaza with the tunnels born on, And guess who doesn't want a long war? Who can't afford a long war? Can America or Israel afford a long war? On the other hand, can Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Iraqi militias, can they sustain a long war? That's for you to judge. Whose side is time on? Whose side is the world on? And who is going into uncharted territory and is entering a fight that they have never fought before? Let's say time will tell. But so far, today is the 29th of October. Hamas has won this war.